Would you like to live a more awesome life? Join hypnotist Jim Kellner as he explores tips, tricks, and strategies to help you and he live a more awesome life right now on Exploring Awesome.
And now, hey, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Exploring Awesome. I, of course, am your host, hypnotist Jim Kellner. I'm on a quest to interview people that are living awesome lives and try to find out how I and you, probably bad grammatically there, how you and I can live a more awesome life. And today on the show, I have Nora Knople. Hello, Nora.
Hey, Jim. Glad to be here.
Nora is going to be, I'm so glad to have you. Nora is going to be sharing her secrets on how she wrote 3 books in less than a year and still was seeing hypnotherapy clients and participating in volunteer work and just doing a ton of stuff. She's been a hypnotist for over 2 decades. She's also a Reiki practitioner, author, as I said. She's created several programs. She's an artist. She's a craftsperson. I follow her on Facebook, and I get tired just watching all the stuff that she's doing. So Nora's going to share some of that with us. And so, yeah, let's start off with that, Nora. Well, we already talked about it, but share with them. What's your secret? I mean, you wrote 3 books. A lot of people go their whole life and keep saying, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. They never write a book. You wrote 3. Let's start with that. How'd you do it? I mean, do you have a lot of time on your hands? You must just have maybe 28 hours in a day.
Yeah, I don't sleep. Okay. That's the secret. Okay. No, seriously, I schedule it. I have to schedule writing. Yeah. If it's not in my phone, it doesn't get done. Like, I program my day out in that way. From the time I get up to meditate in the morning, my feet hit the floor, everything is scheduled. That works for me. And so when I sat down to write the first book, the meditation guide, I started doing that before the world shut down last year. So I just scheduled myself writing days. So I typically will see clients in the office about 4 days a week. Sometimes I'll do 3 to 4 clients a day, just kind of depending on what I'm doing. And then I schedule myself writing days, and I sit down and I make sure that I do nothing else but write for at least 4 to 6 hours.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Yeah. I find the same thing. I'm very resistant to schedules of any kind. In fact, one of the reasons I wanted to be an entrepreneur is because I didn't want a schedule, but I find that if I don't have a schedule, nothing gets done. And so, I'm very much the same way. And here's the thing too, like if I have certain things that I do in order, like, first thing, it's I take a walk, and then I meditate, and then I write. And if I don't do those things, like first thing, it just doesn't get done. Right. I keep putting it off. I'm going to go for that walk, at 1, and then at 4, and then at 6. And next thing you know, I'm recording a podcast, and I still haven't, gone for a walk, meditated, or written for the day. And so I think that's one of the things. And it's interesting too, as I'm writing a book now, I'm just writing 1 book, and I started in January, and I'm still plugging away at it. But, people keep asking me, wow, how do you have time for a book? And Nora, how do you have time for writing 3 books? You schedule it. You make time. You said that. Yeah, you talk about that.
You have to.
You have to make the time. There's no extra time. It's just you're making the time.
Right. I think, like with anything, if it's important enough for you to want it, right, then you're going to make the time to do it. And I emphasize make the time, because how many times do we say, or do we have clients that come into the office and say, oh, well, I don't exercise because I just don't have the time. We have the time. We just don't make the time. Yeah.
I probably mentioned this in the last episode too with Victoria. I talk about this a lot, but I found it interesting. One time when I read, it said that a lot of Olympic athletes who work out, we're talking anywhere from 4 to 8 or more hours a day doing their training and everything. They carry full-time jobs too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wait, how do you do that? It's, you make the time. You just have to make the time.
You make the time, and you reprioritize things until you have to make that shift again.
Yeah.
Because things are going to happen in life, right?
Right.
There's going to be hiccups. And so when the hiccups happen, like you said, being an entrepreneur, the beautiful thing about that is I have a writing day scheduled. If I want to go Christmas shopping, well, then I don't write that day. I'm going Christmas shopping. So I can make those adjustments when life needs me to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, so and I want to talk too about this because I just finished reading it, and if you're out there, please give it a read. It's the Mindfulness. You see that? The Mindfulness Eating Workshop. No, workbook. Sorry. The thing I really liked about it, Nora, was that it's so simple and straightforward. It's not complicated. Yeah. It's not you got to do 25 different things and you got to change your mindset, in 100 different ways, and it's going to take some meditating and hypnosis and all this stuff, which is great. But I mean, really, you break it down. I mean, the first day is gratitude. Right?
Yeah.
You
just have an attitude for gratitude for where you are with the place in the journey, with making the decisions to eat better and make better conscious choices about what you're putting into your body and how that affects you. You can expand on it as deep as you want to go, or as simplistic as you need to make it. But I knew that if by giving people, this book actually came about because I would give clients homework. They'd come in for a session, like my long-term mindful eating clients, they'd come in for a session, I'd give them homework. And it was all these worksheets that I had compiled and written over the years. And I thought, well, just put them in one nice little place. And, so it worked out really well. But I knew that if I made it too complicated, people are just going to stop reading after like the first 4 or 5 pages. So, yeah.
Right. So the mindfulness eating stuff really came out of your work with clients that were having some issues with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say probably 45-50% of my clients range in the smoking cessation and mindful eating. The rest of it, the businesses, energy work or confidence building and accountability coaching, those kinds of things. So yeah, the book came out of that need to give people. I find that if you give clients skills, I think it's a little bit Ericksonian perhaps, that if you give them these things to do, it helps to cement those suggestions even a little bit more and help that recall. So, and that was the success I was finding with giving them the worksheets and the tasks to do after session. The book just kind of came organically then. It's nice.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think that's such a great point because, I think that a lot of people have this kind of unsophisticated people that just don't know. They think that hypnosis is just going to cure things for them. And I really think what you're talking about is if they take a really active role in treating whatever it is, the results are going to be a lot quicker, easier, longer lasting, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I found was when giving them, the worksheets, I saw them in the success in fewer sessions. And the business side of hypnosis, people might go, well, that's absurd. Don't you want them there for 6 to 8
You're losing
sessions?
Money. You're losing money.
What are you
Nora.
doing? And so, but the answer to that is no. I don't feel like I did lose money because what I gained was a credibility. If I'm able to see them in fewer sessions, I've had nobody complain because I got them out of there quicker. Right. I didn't take the whole hour. If I helped them in 40 minutes or 30 minutes, nobody's complained. And so, with being able to have, get to the root of things in fewer sessions, then what organically comes out of that is, oh my gosh, she helped me so quickly with my eating situation. And now I have this other thing. I'm going to go back and see Nora. So it works out. It pays off in the long run.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really good. Nora, so you do have a lot of things going on. I mean, and I think it seems like, if I can tell right, it's like the kind of the main things that, aside from the authoring, which came later, but you've got the art, the crafts, doing the dressers and fixing them up and things like refinishing
My new
or whatever
hobby,
that is.
yeah.
Seems horrible to me. Meditation and hypnosis. What came first?
Oh, what came first? Definitely the hypnosis came first.
Okay.
Hypnosis came actually from a very surprising place. And though I joke with Jim because I made him cry on my podcast, I'm not going to go down that rabbit. Yeah, I did.
Shoot,
I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Oh, we weren't supposed
It's a
to
lie.
talk
That
about
was
that.
I was acting. I was kidding.
I have proof.
Yeah. Do you have the episode of that? What episode? I probably don't know right offhand.
I'll tag you to it later, and we'll post it out there.
Listen to it. Listen to Jim cry.
You guys can listen to it and hear Jim Kellner
She's
cry.
like Oprah over there. I'm, big, strong man, and she's,
I broke him down.
Reduced me to tears. Yeah.
The hypnosis though came out of a surprising place, and I needed help with a situation. I was going through a really messy relationship, my first marriage, and I really wasn't sure how to fix things or how to fix myself or even love myself really. And so I'd gone through couples counseling and I'd gone through therapy for myself, and nothing was clicking. And one day I was literally just sitting at my house, just looking for answers in the yellow pages. And for those of you youngsters who don't know what that is, it's a big book with phone numbers in it that we used to use. So
interesting. You could find interesting stuff in there.
You really can. I do still keep one around for nostalgia's sake, just cuts.
Okay.
And I found a hypnotist, and I thought it struck me because I remember looking at a book when I was like 12 or 13 years old of like unusual careers. I was always had this focus of I was going to have a career in something. And a hypnotist was in that book. And so when I found a hypnotist in the yellow pages, it was like another light bulb moment, like, oh, those people really exist? Like that's a thing? So I gave her a call just really out of curiosity. And what unfolded from there was not only did she help me in the very first session, but it was a lifelong friendship. She became my hypnosis teacher and trained me after, seeing her for a few years. She was like, you could be really good at this. And here I am 20 years later.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so obviously it helped.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's for a lot of people, that's their transition into it is actually experiencing it and going, oh, wow, this isn't maybe what I thought it was, or maybe it is what I thought it was. But that's really cool.
Well, I was one of those stereotypical people that like I had no hope when I went. Like she was like, it's you or I don't know what, and it was very transformational for me. Yeah.
It's funny how that you hear that a lot. You're my last hope, because I've tried every single thing else. Well, if you'd have came to me sooner, you could have saved yourself.
I could have saved you a lot of money.
Right. Exactly. Could have saved you a lot of money.
And a lot of heartache.
A lot of heartache. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating, and one of the problems is I think that people go through all these other things, and every time you fail, it's frustrating, right? I mean, it's like, oh man, I'm never going to be able to do this.
It's another letdown, and it breaks your spirit over time.
Absolutely. And just so everybody knows, I do talk with a lot of hypnotists on the show, but it's not just for hypnotists. I just find that there's a lot of hypnotists out there that are really doing a lot of awesome stuff and really have great tips for awesome things. So if hypnosis isn't your thing, don't worry. We do cover other things as well. So I did want to talk too. I want to circle back because, before I do, let me just mention. So Nora has a podcast that's sort of on hiatus right now, but you can go listen to past episodes. It's called Divine Dragonfly. Mm-hmm. And as we've talked about, she did make me cry like a baby. And she's got a new one. She's currently working on one called Unscripted Energy, and that's on Spotify. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd love to. It's an exciting new podcast that I'm doing with my Qigong instructor, Pat Jones.
Exciting one.
Yeah. And
exciting new podcast.
It is an exciting new podcast. So it came out of a brainchild of Pat and I would sit and have these wonderful long conversations, very deep philosophical stuff after Qigong class. And I would always say to her every week, why aren't we recording this? Like, these are fantastic conversations. People would listen to this. And she'd never done a podcast before. And so she agreed that she'd give it a shot. And then I came up with the premise of, wouldn't it be cool, because we both work in energy work, if it was centered around energy and how energy affects us and how energy is everywhere. But if we just put random words that came to us into a bowl, and every week we pull out a word and we tie that to energy, because if energy is everything and everything is energy, then we should be able to make this correlation. And so far in 7 episodes, it's worked. And we've been able to have things to talk about. And so that's what we do. We draw a word out of our bowl of words, and then we do a centering meditation around that to start. And then we just have a conversation about wherever it leads us. It is completely unscripted, like the title says. We have no idea what the other person's going to say. And this one that we just recorded they always come out on Sunday. A new episode comes out every Sunday. And so this episode that we just recorded, we took a little break, and I looked at Pat and I said, bear with me, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole, but you're just going to have to trust me that I'll get us back. And she was like, okay. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey, if you're listening right now, please give us a like, a share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go find Nora's work. Again, that's Divine Dragonfly, and then Unscripted Energy, and go look up her books. Nora, so, there's some folks out there that have no idea what we're talking about when you say energy work and energy is everywhere. Can you expand on that a little bit talk to me like I'm a kindergartner.
Okay. Talk to you like you're a kindergartner. Okay,
maybe not kindergarten. How about maybe 8, 10?
Okay, we'll go with that. So energy is everywhere. One of the examples when I teach about energy work, and as Jim said, I'm a Reiki instructor and practitioner. So if you go to the grocery store and you're just standing in line, for example, and somebody behind you or in front of you is just in a lousy mood, right? And they're just, that negativity can start to pull towards you. And then you start to feel a certain sort of way, right? In the same way, if I was walking past you in the grocery store and our eyes met and I just went, right? Yeah. See, you just smiled too. So it's that same thing. It's that give and take, that energy we just exchanged with very little effort. And so those little kind of nuances happen every day, all the time, sometimes without us really even noticing, and they truly affect us. And that's where like the practice of Reiki comes in. It's a Japanese healing art, for those of you who don't know. In the Christian faith, it's practiced called like the laying on of hands. So it's the direction of energy from the divine through me, the practitioner, to someone, to myself, and being able to help balance the energy by pulling in good energy and balanced energy to help clear out any negativity. There's lots of different ways people do it. Reiki is just one tool. In the Native American culture, they use smudging, which is lighting of sage and so forth, to clear out negative energy. So the importance of that is that oftentimes when we are feeling heavy with energy, it comes in as a kind of what I call a spiritual symptom first. So we talked earlier about hopelessness. That's often thought of as an emotional, mental kind of symptom, but it's really a spiritual symptom that develops deeper into, despair and things, which become emotion-based. And then we can get physical symptoms like headaches and stomach pains. And those all come from, or they can come from taking on too much negative energy, not handling stress and things like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I found Reiki to be, I've had some really, really nice Reiki sessions from several people. It's really, really good stuff. Look it up, people. Check it out. Also, you can work remotely with Reiki or hypnosis. So if you want to work with Nora, you'll find her information in the show notes. You can also find her at Haven Hypnosis and Wellness.com. And we'll plug some other stuff here in just a little bit. So you're doing a lot of great things. You got the hypnosis, the writing. What about the meditation and the Reiki? So what about the meditation? When did that start, and what's going on with that?
Well, much like hypnosis, meditation started quite by accident. I was taking, I do yoga. I was taking a yoga class, and because I was a hypnotist, my yoga teacher said, "Hey, we really like your voice and your cadence. Would you do the Savasana tonight?" That's for those of you who don't know, at the end of yoga class, it's this nice little
my favorite yoga pose.
Yeah, laying down, going to sleep, zoning out kind of thing. And so I said, all right, sure. And so I did it for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 classes. And she goes, can I train you? And I said, I don't have a desire to be a yoga teacher. She goes, no, but you would make a really good meditation teacher, and here's why. So that was about 5 years ago. And I did train, and then became a meditation teacher, and then taught and teach meditation here in the area. So it just kind of, it came out of born out of my hypnosis practice. People just happened to like my voice, and here I am. Now I'm a meditation teacher, one of the other many hats that that I wear. And it's a daily practice I meditate every day before my feet even hit the floor for 30 minutes. Yeah. Nice.
It's funny, a while back, I realized guided meditation is just, it really is just like hypnosis.
It is
so similar, and maybe even the exact same thing. So
there would be people that will tell us that we're wrong, that there are varying things, which we know as practicing hypnotists, that there are varying things that are very different about hypnosis, but on the surface level, they act very, very much the same. You get similar results with that. I liken it to a lot of the maybe conversational hypnosis, if you will, the guided meditation. Yeah.
And certainly more passive, I think, for the most part. Not always, because different kinds of meditation. It's kind of a general statement, because there's so many different kinds of meditation, of course, and so many types of hypnosis.
Yeah.
So so you make an impact on your, one of the things I've noticed about you is that you're not just making an impact on your clients, your family, those kind of things. You're very much a part of your community, it seems.
Thank you.
Really plugged in there. And I see, you sharing, of course, like GoFundMe's and things like that, but Siri keeps bugging me. So I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Siri has to wait her turn to be interviewed.
Did I cut out at all?
No.
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Are you there, Nora?
I am here. Can you hear me? I am here. Did you lose my audio? What about now? What about now? You get me yet?
You hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm going to cut all this part out. So it asked me a long time ago, hey, do you want to be able to answer calls on your Mac? And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And now I can't get the damn thing turned off, and it just so like calls will come in and drives me nuts. And then it messes everything up. And I've looked it up, tried to figure it out, and it's just
You should have answered it. Maybe we could have asked them questions.
Yeah, good idea, right? Yeah. So AirPods are here, and then God dang, it's such a freaking hassle. Select a speaker, a microphone. Okay. So many technical things that can go wrong. Okay. Good. So where did we leave off? We were just talking about yes. So
about my community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll start right back up now. And so we just got cut off. So we're coming back into the conversation. Nora, I see that, just by following you on Facebook and stuff, I see that you're not only really plugged in to helping your clients, your family, your friends, yourself, but really involved in helping your community.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for that. That's really important to me. I think it was, ever more important to me than in last year in 2020. I remember saying to my husband, Chris, in March, when we had to close the office from March to July. And Jim knows this because I've told him before, because I give him, every time I talk about it, I give Jim credit for this because it's rightfully due. But in 2019, Jim and I were at a hypnosis conference together, and I took Jim's course on how to take my practice online. And I thought, well, I'm taking the course because Jim's my friend, and and it'll be, I don't know if I'll ever do this because I'm one of those people that likes, in office stuff. And lo and behold, I needed it. And so, but I had to close my in-office practice. And I said to my husband, instead of saying, a lot of people could have said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I didn't. I just picked right up, where I left off, told people who I had on the books, if you want to go online, we'll do it online. If not, I'll reschedule when I open. And I said to my husband, you know what? If I take care of the community will take care of me. And I just kept saying that over and over again. I didn't really know what it meant. But I started last year. I knew one of the things I could expend if I chose to do so was the meditation class. People weren't gathering even in the parks to do it outside. In Ohio in March and April, it wasn't warm enough to really do it outside, but I felt like it was needed so much, back in March and April, than maybe even now. But there was just so much uncertainty in things. And if that was one of the things I could give to people to either bring them hope or to take their minds off of whatever we were dealing with at the time, then I did that. So I would host meditation class twice a week online for free. People had asked me early on, can you set up a tip jar? And I'm like, no, let's not do that. So I took it online and did the meditation class. And it was just important to be able to help people in that way. And I didn't do it to get noticed, but it didn't go unnoticed. And so that's actually how I was asked to be on the mental health board for my local county. And then I agreed. And now I'm a public servant, I'm told. So
nice.
I never thought I'd see myself in that role in our family. My husband's more that kind of outgoing in the community thing, but here I am doing it. So
that's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, it's very,
I love
rewarding.
that attitude too of giving and just knowing that it's coming back to us in so many different ways, even if it's just that good feeling that we get, from helping someone. I mean,
absolutely,
it's such a powerful thing. It really is. I need to dedicate some more time to that myself. Really awesome. Nora, so you've done a lot of great things. Can you tell us, what kind of challenges have you had to overcome to get where you're at today?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That's an Oprah question right there.
That is, yeah. See if you make you cry.
You might get me yet, Jim Kellner. You might get me yet.
And hey, stay tuned, everybody, because we've still got Nora's going to give us her 3 tips for living an awesome life, and of course, we're going to play friend or frenemy. I already know Nora's answer, and I'm going to pretend like I don't know, so it'll be brand new for all of you to find out. So please, Nora, continue those challenges.
Yeah. So to segue off of, being on the mental health board, one of the kind of check marks, when they look for certain people to fit certain criteria. So maybe you've had a loved one who's had, mental health issues or substance use disorders, or maybe you serve in that capacity, as a mental health practitioner. For me, I fulfilled the role of somebody who lives with mental illness. And it took me a lot of years to openly admit that, right? Because there's a lot of stigma around, how can you help people if you have a mental health issue? I do. I'm able to, and I probably not just want to sound overly confident or toot my own horn, but I think it's what makes me a really good hypnotist, because I'm able to bring that compassion piece. When people come into the office, they don't have to have that barrier of feeling ashamed of whatever they're coming in with, because I'm living with a mental illness. I have depression and anxiety that I fight every day. I, previously had tried to take my life twice in my 20s and in, my early 40s. So, fortunately, I'm here, and I learned that I had
failed.
worth.
Fortunately, you failed.
Fortunately, I failed.
Failure.
That's right. Failure is a good thing.
That's a great T-shirt right there.
That's right. And I'm living proof that you can overcome those kinds of things and do and make a mark and on life and live purposefully. So that's just a little bit of what I've dealt with. On top of, I have an autoimmune disorder, which I found out later is, probably why I have depression and anxiety. It all kind of spun out of one thing that happened. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I always think, what better guide than someone who's already been there, right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking back in the old West days here in America, if you wanted to go out to the Oregon Territory, would you want to go with the guy that's already been there and come back? I mean, that's probably your safest bet.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly read a map and navigate. And I'm not saying that if somebody, you don't have to have somebody's experience to get them there, but I think it really does help. And like you said, one of the things, I find a lot of times people are just they've got that shame. Sometimes, I mean, they're telling us things that I mean, they don't want to tell anybody because they're embarrassed by it. And like you said, there's so much shame around these things. So
there is,
I think it's great.
And one of the other things I'll tell you too, is that, when it comes to talking about the obstacles, I think that got in my way is being a hypnotist in some ways was an obstacle, because people look at you like, you do what? And one of the things one of my platforms talk about community 3 years ago, I hit the ground running and I said, I'm going to do Wellness Wednesdays, and I'm just going to go and set up at the Chamber of Commerce, and whoever wants to come and hear me talk about all these things, just come in and have a soda or a juice or whatever on me, and we'll have a conversation. And that's one of the other things that got the mental health board's attention and got us having conversations. I would have never thought 20 years ago that the mental health board director and I would be sitting down having a conversation about anything except maybe her encouraging me to not practice any longer. Because 20 years ago, that's probably what would have happened.
Well, I think that is what's especially cool about this is the openness, because hypnosis is so stigmatized in the general community and in the mental health field that, wow, that's pretty incredible, Nora. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm astonished.
Go ahead and pat yourself on the back there. Go ahead.
I do.
Yeah,
I am. I'm astonished every time I sit in that board seat. I really am. I talk about gratitude.
That's nice. Yeah, follow Nora on Facebook. Every day she posts the things that she's grateful for. 3 things she's grateful for. It's pretty awesome. What do you think about gratitude? Why do you bother? What's up with the gratitude thing?
Well, I also will give credit to the gratitude practice to another hypnotist friend of mine, Scott Schmerin. Scott Schmerin's got me started because Scott does it too every single day. And I took one of Scott's courses, his quantum class back in 2019. And one of the foundations of that is gratitude. And really the premise is no matter really what happens in your day. I mean, you can face a loss, an insurmountable loss, and you can still look back on those things that you started your day with and go, okay, I can be sad and I can grieve and still be grateful. And I think it's important for us to know that we can compartmentalize in a positive way, that it's okay to feel, to not be just exclusive to the sadness or exclusive to the grief. We can be happy and sad at the same time. And I think gratitude allows us that space really to have that awareness of, life can be tough sometimes, but there is always something to be grateful for. We can always count our blessings. So that's why I do it.
Yeah, especially living I mean, if you're watching this or listening to this, you're probably doing pretty good. You may not believe it, but you're probably doing better than probably 90% of the other people on the planet, honestly. And so that means if you've got the technology and the time to be watching or listening to this, you're probably doing all right. And I don't mean to say that as like your problems aren't real problems, but I mean we really do got to think about how lucky we are, I mean, we're living in kind of amazing times. I think about this when I do this podcast, I can remember, like I wanted to be on the radio, I thought, well, I'd be great on the radio. People always tell me, you've got such a great radio voice. And I'm like, I can basically be on the radio now. It's such amazing times. You can be a writer. You can be a movie star in your own YouTube videos. I mean, we're living in kind of amazing times. So kind of got off track there, but
no, that's okay. No, I think YouTubers are like I heard recently it's the top profession amongst, like of what do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I have 6 grandkids, and you ask the oldest 3 and they'll tell you, I want to be an influencer. I want to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's amazing what has happened. And I can still, I'm going to date myself, but I can still remember back when Google bought YouTube, and I was like, why are they buying YouTube? That just seems stupid. Who wants this platform where people are making a bunch of videos? And wow, I mean,
right?
Wow.
Who would have thought?
Wow. I watch more YouTube than I do regular TV. Crazy. Nora, what's the biggest challenge you're going through right now?
Oh boy.
Or is everything just peaches and cream?
Everything's fantastic. Everything's just fantastic. I would, on a professional note, everything is really, really well. I think the struggle that I'm dealing with right now is, as I told you before, when we were chatting before we started recording, self-discipline. Though I schedule the writing and I do try to, I do the discipline and move things around if I have to, if life comes up. I was telling Jim that, in September, I had to kind of kick myself in the butt because I got back from conference in August and was like, wow, that was fun. Wow, the sun's out. Let me just put my feet up here and not do anything for 3 weeks. And then I had to, Labor Day hit, and I went, what the heck are you doing? You haven't written anything in 3 weeks. I wrote more at conference by the pool than I did after I got home.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's one of my biggest hurdles is just, we've had some unexpected things happen in our family, kind of back to back to back. We've had a couple of unfortunate, we had some deaths in the family. And so we're kind of working through some of that, life happens, and, trying to just do our due diligence to make sure that not just everybody else is taking care of themselves, but making sure that I'm mindful of my own self-care. I can't walk the talk if I'm not, talk the talk if I'm not walking the walk. So.
I agree. I find that, in fact, that's one of the things that helps to get me back on track oftentimes, because I'm like, how can you advocate that people, go out and exercise and meditate and do all these things if you're not going to do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I was thinking, I know Tony Robbins is kind of a polarizing force, but one of the things I like about Tony is, I mean, you watch some of the stuff, and I've seen him grown. Like, he's gotten gigantically muscular since when I first watched him back in the 20s.
Right?
I mean, he's like just buff now. And you watch some of the stuff he does, the cryogenics and all this, and I'm like, wow, this guy is, man, he's walking the walk. That's for sure.
We just had a cryogenics facility open up here in my little town, and I've yet to try it, but my husband loves it. So,
Oh, yeah?
that's the secret. Yeah, that's the secret, Tony Robbins. And
Right.
yeah.
It looks promising, but boy, I can't even get myself to do the cold shower thing. I'm like, oh.
I'm with you there. I mean, I live in Northern Ohio, and you mentioned cold. You mentioned cold, and my body goes.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Me too. So, if somebody was in, like, somebody was in your position. I mean, they were, maybe somebody was suicidal or something, or maybe they just kind of lost. They don't know what they want to do with their life. What would you tell them to get them kind of to move past that?
I think the first thing I would tell them is to talk. So often, I think when we get in those situations, I think there's two things that happen. We shut down because we don't really know how to process it ourselves, because there's just so much. It's overwhelming to the person experiencing it, that you don't know how to verbalize it, maybe what's going on. But the other part of that is that, at least in my experiences, you don't want to overwhelm those people that you love. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't want to burden them. And let me tell you, it's much more of a burden to have you not be here than it is to open up and tell them what's going on with you. A friend of mine that is a fabulous mental health advocate. His name's Gabe Howard. He wrote a wonderful book that's called, I don't want to misquote it, but I think it's called Mental Health is an Asshole. Pardon my language, but or Mental Illness is an Asshole. He did a keynote speech, and he and I were in a conference, speakers at a conference recently together, and they had in his talk, it was really just spoke to me, and I'll share what he said. He said, I tell people that I think about suicide all the time, and they go, "Really, Gabe, all the time?" And he goes, "Yes, all the time, for as young as I can remember." And they were like, "Really? Did you think about it when you were 10? And he goes, "Yeah." And they're like, "Really, did you think about it when you were like 4? And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about it right now." And they go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, every day when I wake up, I'm thinking about suicide. I'm thinking that today's the day I'm not going to do it." And that was really profound to me, because I thought, oh my God, I never thought of it in that way. That when you're somebody who has had the thought still happens, when you're dealing with it. Like, the thought comes every once and again, and there's no follow through, there's no plan. And those are important things to know when you're helping somebody. Do you have a follow through? Do you have a plan? And making sure that they don't. But people who are, like me, who have lived with it and who have contemplated, the thoughts still come. Sometimes it's a reminder of, gosh, you wouldn't have got to experience this if that would have turned out differently.
Yeah. And I have to admit that I've gone through the same kind of stuff. And sometimes I do, even now. I mean, it's not as bad as it used to be, but I mean, even now, sometimes it's just, man, it'd just be so much easier, right? Just to be just gone, right?
Yeah. So talk. Don't be afraid to talk about it. There's numbers out there. There's people you can text. If you're somebody who doesn't talk, there's numbers out you can text and just get it out. And a lot of times what I find, and I've heard this from so many people, if you don't know, like, where to start, what to say, simply say, I don't know where to start. Because oftentimes that tips the subconscious to go, oh, this is what I need to say, right?
Yeah.
So I just start with, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. And that is so awesome too. And you can look if you're on YouTube, you'll find in the show notes. There is a number down there. It's on all my videos. I have the number for it's the worldwide suicide prevention line. And yeah, I mean, especially for the younger people to be able to text, because they won't get on the phone.
Right.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Hey, what are the biggest surprises you've had in your work, Nora? You've done a lot of stuff, and you're a hypnotist, which is totally a weird profession.
It is a
meditation's kind of weird. Being an artist is kind of weird. I mean,
all weird. I'm a big weirdo. I am just a big weirdo.
Any surprises that you weren't expecting? Things you weren't expecting?
There are a couple of things. Like, I think one of the things that surprised me is this thing that I do with my kind of a Reiki hypnosis crossover. Now, having not done any other research on this, I don't know if this induction actually existed before I did it, but I call it the Knople induction because I do it and I do it my way. And so I do what's called in my office, what's called a Reiki hypnosis combo, where I'll put people on my Reiki table or have them get on the Reiki table. And I do Reiki on them first, which actually is the induction. So the Reiki actually acts as the induction. They're completely relaxed. And then I just go back over to my desk and sit down and then go on with the hypnosis session as if, it was very seamless. And what happened to me in the midst of doing Reiki, and practitioners of Reiki experience it very differently. Some people will say, well, I feel my hands get really warm, the heat gets more intense. Having had Reiki done, Jimmy probably experienced it as the person getting it, very differently. Like you might feel warmth, or some people feel it, the energy actually moving. When I'm giving Reiki, I see colors. Like if I'm in the crown up at the top of your head, it gets really deep purple. And as I move through the chakras, I can actually visually see them kind of like auras. And one day I was doing a session, and the color in the heart chakra, which is typically like a green, kind of started to change colors while I was there. And it kind of freaked me out because I'd never experienced it before. But again, being the big weirdo that I am, I just didn't dismiss it. I just kind of went with it. And I started to kind of see this guy, and I don't claim to be a medium or a psychic or any of that, but I had never experienced this before, except when I was getting my attunement, like you see different things happen for my Reiki attunement. So I just kind of went with it. And I thought, I don't have any point of reference for this information, so I'm just going to jot it down. So I just excused myself, went over to my desk, wrote it down, went back to the Reiki session. And this would happen periodically. And then when I brought the client back out of the hypnosis session, I said, well, this is what happened in your Reiki session. Would you like me to tell you about it? And they did. And I explained what I saw, and I described the guy, and they said, I just lost my friend Kenny, who I was taking care of for years. He was a vet. Well, the color had changed from like this emerald green to like a khaki army green color. And I went,
oh, wow.
Okay, well, I don't know, but maybe you needed some kind of, some kind of centering or some kind of something from spirit comes through and in that way for me. And I think that for me has been the biggest surprise in my work, because I'm kind of one of those psychic skeptics. I think I was at first, even though I know I have friends that can do this stuff and they astound me with the things that they know that they wouldn't have known about me. So when this stuff started happening, they were the first people I called. I'm like, what is happening to me? Like, what is this? What is this thing? And my Reiki teacher said, it's called enlightenment, dear. Just go with it. So that's been a big surprise, but it's really healing for people. And that's what I do, right? So why not just go with it? And I tell people, look, things come out. If it makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, my feelings aren't hurt, because it's a 103-year-old building that I work in. So who knows what's floating around in there.
Wow, that's so cool. I love touching old buildings because then I feel like I'm just, I'm kind of a part of history then,
You know what's really
So,
cool about the building that my office is in is it was our original hospital, and
mm,
my office is one of the former birthing suites. And I think how cool. They come in there for a transformation, this
yeah,
hypnotic transformation. They leave rebirthed.
yeah.
Really, it's
Wow,
really cool.
that is cool.
Mhm.
Nora,
Yeah.
you've done so much. You've already got 3 books out. I mean, you've done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
What's next? What's next for Nora?
Hmm. What is next? Well, I have 3 more books coming out.
3 more.
3 more books. As if she's
Wow.
not busy enough. Um, so yeah, like Jim said, I wrote the meditation guide, which is on Amazon, the mindful eating workbook. And then I wrote the self-care for crisis book
Okay.
last year also. That came out of the brainchild of partially and thanks to Will Horton. So
Love
he
Will.
sparked an idea and I said, hey, Will, do you mind if I go with this? And he was like, go for it. And he ended up writing one of the little blurbs on the back of my book.
Cool.
Yeah, so next year I have 3 books coming out. The one that should come out in early spring is called Virtues of the Chakras.
Hmm.
So in doing some research for a client, actually, because I had a client who came to me who wanted chakra balancing, and Jim mentioned I'm a minister, but she was having a struggle with if she should do it or not because of her faith. She
Cool.
didn't know if she would be hindering on something that maybe wasn't right.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what, if you have a faith practitioner, a minister, somebody that's not me, by all means, let's go have that conversation. So Virtues of the Chakra came out of doing research for them because I was able to find scripture in the Bible that kind of tied into the kind of properties of each of the chakras. I just was just kind of looking it up to see, is there something here that maybe I can help them to kind of reconcile with what they're wrestling with? And there was something there. And a matter of fact, there was a whole journal worth of notes. And I thought, oh, okay, this is a book. This is a book. So Virtues of the Chakras will come out in spring of 2022. Then I'm also writing a mindful-based stress reduction book and workbook called Om and Extra Om, or Extraordinary Mindfulness.
Awesome.
How clever, right? And then
Yeah.
I'm doing an autobiography called I Just Can,
Nice.
which talks about my journey through mental health issues. So
Oh, I hope you'll come back on the show after that. I'd love to read that and then
absolutely, I would
ask
love
you some
to.
questions about that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
cool.
I'm
No, what are
excited.
you really? I mean, you're good at so many things. What are you bad at?
What am I bad at? I'm a lousy gift giver.
Are you?
I think so. My husband will tell you not. I mean, but he's very gracious. Um, I think that I'm one of those people that I don't like to spend money. I don't mind giving money to like charity or to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't like to like buy tangible goods just for the sake of buying them. And that's kind of what Christmas is. And we've
Me
gotten away
too.
from the spiritual
Boy.
aspect, right?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you 100% on that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would rather, so I made this shift last year. I said, okay, I really got to get better at this because my husband gives me fantastic gifts. There was a year I had to stop him from buying. I mean, I know this is such a terrible problem to have, ladies, but I had to ask him not to buy me any more jewelry because I had no place to put it.
Wow.
And so then he bought me a jewelry cabinet, and I'm like, well, okay. But
wow, now that's thinking. That's thinking
yeah,
right there.
so yeah, so I'm blessed in that way. My husband is wonderful to me. So I decided I was going to start buying experiences. I don't like to buy tangible gifts, so I'll buy experiences. So I did really good this year. He doesn't know what it is, and he's in the other room, and he'll watch this later, so I won't say what it is, but I did really good for this year. He's really going to like it. It's a really good gift. I also am really bad at karaoke. I am. Like, okay. I'm like, a few drinks and I think I'm everybody's best friend and the world's greatest singer. And I really probably should keep that voice just to my car and my shower. But I love it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Good. Nora, it's been so good chatting with you, just getting to know you better and finding out so much more about your life. I love it.
Thank you. I've loved talking to you. I always have fun.
And mentioning your husband, I love seeing the pictures of you and Chris. I mean, you guys are out all the time doing stuff. I mean, I don't have the energy for it. I mean, you young kids are just, man, you're all over the place.
Young kids. I'm going to be 50 in February. 50.
Oh my goodness.
Can you believe it?
Hey, everybody out there. Hey, everybody watching. All three of you, please pay attention and stick around, because we've still got Nora's 3 tips for living an awesome life. And we've also got friend or frenemy. This is a very important segment that we've just added in season 7. Very important.
Very important.
So Nora, we've talked about, your secret really to getting things done. It's the making the time, scheduling it. I love that too. This is the thing that's, when I, like you were talking about, when you talk with a client and they say, well, I'd really like to start exercising. And I say, when do you have it scheduled? And they go, oh, I don't have it scheduled. I said, did you schedule this meeting? And they're like, yeah, it's because this meeting was important, right? So if nothing else, it kind of tricks us into, or understand that that's an important thing.
Right.
You can always reschedule if you have to, but just getting it on the books, whether it's writing time or whatever.
Yeah.
So we got that. Mental illness and things like that, they don't have to stop you from living a great life, even attempted suicide. So that's amazing. Good stuff. Nora.
Yes.
Start thinking. I'm going to need your 3 tips in just one moment.
All right. I'll think.
Because right now, up next, I've changed the format, everybody, so I have to look at my notes here because I want to see what we're going. Okay. Because next up, I've got listener questions, my guests, Nora's 3 tips for living a more awesome life. And of course, we'll find out if my guest, Nora, is a friend or frenemy. You don't want to miss it. Do you have a few more minutes, Nora? We're kind of going long.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
No, okay. Let's do this. Yeah.
Listener questions. So I did and this is actually for my YouTube channel. It's not necessarily, I'm taking questions until we get more questions on the show. I'm taking questions across my social media and wherever you happen to message me. So if you want to ask me a question, I'm going to answer it on here. I may cut it out and post it on YouTube too. And I love your take too, Nora. In fact, I'll do mine and you can do yours. So the question was actually a hypnosis related question. So I posted a video of a street hypnosis session, thing. We went out and did street hypnosis. If you're not familiar with that, folks, actually Nora has gone out and done street hypnosis. We've done it together in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's, people will put up a sign oftentimes, and we will, and that's the other thing that drives me crazy is Siri keeps jumping in here, and now she's back again. I'm not talking to you.
It's not her turn. It's not.
Yeah, Lordy. So we might set up a sign, or we wear some T-shirts that say, ask me to hypnotize you. You happen to be walking by, you're at the park, at the mall or something, you go, hey, hypnotize me. We'll hypnotize you right there. Now, this a couple months ago, back when it was still nice out, worked with a guy, his name was Raven, and he was just an awesome, when you get those really awesome people, I mean, he did the Spiegel eye roll, I'm just talking to him, and all of a sudden his eyes are, you got the whites of the eyes are going. I was like, oh, this guy's going to be amazing.
Right.
And he was, he forgot numbers and forgot his name even, which, I mean, he's got a cool name, and he forgot his name in hypnosis. I know it sounds amazing. I will put the link to that. If you're on YouTube, I'll put the link, and I'll put it in the show notes too.
Fun stuff. It's fun stuff. We had some of the best time that night. Just kind of, I mean, and it was fun. But Jim also helped, several people. I remember in the session that we did in Vegas.
Yeah.
Actually, you remember you hypnotized somebody through a translator, because there was a lady who didn't speak English and she wanted to stop smoking, I think it was, and her husband translated for Jim and hypnotized her. It was phenomenal. I'd never seen anything like it.
Love to. I wish I would have given her. I don't know if I gave her a card or not, but I would love to found out, because one quick little session like that may be good enough for a couple of hours, probably not for the rest of her life, but be interesting to find out, because sometimes it does. Sometimes it happens just that quickly, so it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But so I did the hypnosis. Now in the video, and in the video, he goes. I say, so you're going to lose the number 2, and so he counts 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And at some point, I don't remember how this happened. Anyway, he counted, he skipped the number 12, and I don't know why, that, because there's only 10. I'll have to watch the video again. But anyway, I'm going to put the link. You can go check it out, folks. So he lost the number 12 also. And somebody asked me, why did he lose the number 12? Why, 2 and 12?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you my most learned answer is, I don't know. I think that I never really know exactly why anybody does anything. But what happens in hypnosis, oftentimes it's just a misunderstanding, and the subconscious mind can take things kind of literally. And so there's a 2 in the number 12. And so maybe that's what happened. It just took it out.
Yep. My thought is that he's maybe not an auditory learner. He is a visual learner. So as you're saying the number, he's visualizing the number. He sees the 2, it goes out of his mind.
I hadn't thought about that, but that is such a good point. You know what's funny? I'm a very visual learner too, because as I'm thinking about this and going the 2 and 12, I'm seeing 2 and 12. I'm not even, that's an incredible insight. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Now we know. Maybe we don't know.
Right. I also think that things like that are a great example of why it just gives me another reason to understand that hypnosis is real. Because sometimes people are like, well, they're just faking. If he was faking, if he was doing a good job faking, he probably wouldn't do that. He would only forget the number 2. That would be my guess, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for the question. Also,
good.
Yeah. And then someone else just asked me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok at Jim Kellner Hypnotist. Somebody asked me if because I did a show for high school down in Arizona. And somebody asked me, do you live in Seattle or Arizona? And the quick answer is, I lived in Seattle for 20 years. I moved to Arizona for a while. And then I came back up here to visit, met my wife, got stuck in COVID. I'm here in Seattle now, but I travel back and forth a lot. So I kind of consider that I live in both places. Okay, Nora.
Yes.
Nora, are you ready? Are you ready to answer your 3 tips, tricks, or strategies for living a more awesome life?
I am ready. I am so ready.
Okay. What do you got?
Well, number 1, I would say we touched on, but have an attitude for gratitude. Because no matter how crappy a hand that you're dealt, you can always look back and count your blessings. There's always going to be something to be grateful for, even if it's that next breath you're taking. So that's number 1, attitude for gratitude. Number 2 is sometimes you can get caught up in being busy. Like Jim mentioned, I got a lot of irons in the fire. And I have a lot of people that I have to take care of. But if I don't take care of and love myself first, then I'm not going to have that oxygen mask to put on anybody else. I'm not going to have love to give anybody else if I don't give it to myself first. So love yourself, take care of yourself first. And then if I had a third one, how about own your authenticity? I'm a big proponent for being your true self. Own your authenticity.
Okay.
If you think about, if you're maybe a person who's listening, who's had to, hide behind different masks, whatever they might be. Maybe you haven't openly said, I have depression, or maybe you haven't come out and said I'm gay, or whatever it might be, or you're pretending to be somebody you're not. When the stress that causes, when you have to continue to perpetuate the lie and remember the lie and continue to perpetuate that lie, it gets tiresome. It's stressful. It wears you out. If you own your authenticity, if you just be who you are, that will always be enough. That will just always be enough. And you never have to worry about getting stressed out and trying to remember the lie and the next lie and the next lie. So just be true to yourself.
That's great. Thank you, Nora. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got, be grateful. You just reminded me, talking about the hand that you're dealt. I mean, you go all the way back to the Stoics. Epictetus, I think it was, that said, you get dealt a hand. Everybody gets dealt a hand, and you can either complain about that hand that you got dealt, or you can just play the best hand that you've got. Same as if you got it was really a card game, poker, or something like that. I mean, it sucks. You got dealt a bad hand, but that's the way it goes.
You got dealt a bad hand, and it only sucks if that's the only, if that's where you're scoping your focus.
Yeah.
If that's the only thing you're focusing on, then it's gonna suck. But
Absolutely.
If you take a moment to step back and count your blessings and maybe look on the peripheral, there might be things out there that you're not looking at that don't suck, because you're missing them because you're so hyper focused on them to suck.
Absolutely. You might get a pair of twos. Come on, it's something. Take care of yourself. I got to tell you, this is one of the most important things you can do in life, really. I mean, it's like you said, and so often we run into clients that are like, well, I don't have time to exercise because I got to do this, this, and this for my family. I don't have time for whatever. And you just, man, you really, like you said, you can't pour from that empty cup. I mean, it's just can't do it.
Absolutely.
And own your authenticity. I love it. I love it. Hey, everybody. So listen up. We're still going to play Friend or Frenemy coming up very soon. You do not want to miss that, I assure you. Now, I want to just give a little information. If you're wanting to reach out to Nora, I mean, really, you couldn't go wrong with the stuff you're going to get from Nora. Check out her books on Amazon. Check out her podcasts. One more time, we've got the Mindful Eating Workbook. We've got the Hypnosis and Wellness Meditation Guide, and Self-Care for Crisis, for Mind, Body, and Spirit. Is that for crisis workers, or that's for everybody going through a crisis?
That's for everybody going through a crisis. So Will Horton, actually, he did a little slideshow back in March of last year, just to kind of help anybody who needed it to just kind of get over that hump of the word uncertainty. We kept hearing it in the media, uncertainty, and it was causing a lot of different things we were seeing that we'd seen before in our hypnosis practices, but this word was causing a new kind of spin-off of fears and things like that. And so Will did this little this really short thing, and it really inspired me. And I said, let me just kind of see where we go with this. And so with his permission, I said, can I take the notes from your slideshow and just see what I come up with? And the book is what I came up with, because that stress hits us on every level. And sometimes we get a headache and it's just a headache. But if we go through all these tests and they're not finding anything, and, we're going on medications and things and they're not working, well, there's another avenue that we've long since forgotten. And that's the spiritual aspect of, well, maybe it's a headache because I'm stressing about things that I don't think, how many times do you get clients in and you ask them, do you have a lot of stress in their life? I'm like, no, I handle my stress just fine. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Right.
They're kidding
I
themselves.
handle my stress. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stress, but I handle it well.
Yeah.
I get it.
So yeah, no, it's for anybody who's dealing with a crisis or just life in general.
That's great. Please go visit her. I'll post her social media links in the notes. Haven Hypnosis and Wellness.com is the website. You can find our books on Amazon or wherever fine books are sold, of course. And I want to invite you all to something new. I put together a recording of affirmations for those of you that want to maybe hypnosis isn't your thing. Just want to let you get you some affirmations. If you don't think affirmations work, believe me, I used affirmations to transform my life. It was hypnosis and affirmations.
Yep.
I mean, really, just hearing good stuff all the time. Think about it. It's gonna improve your life. You know, one of the things I started saying was, "Damn, I'm pretty," and by God, I started feeling prettier. I'm telling you what.
Right. And you got other people believing it too.
Honestly, Nora, that is the craziest thing. I'm not even, and I'm gonna do. I gotta do something about this sometime. I'm writing about it. I don't know if I'm right. Well, anyway, but yeah, really, I had terrible self-esteem, hated myself. Chicks didn't dig me. That still sounds sexist, but really, I started saying this to myself, and then all of a sudden, people started saying, "Wow, you're so handsome." You know, they joke and you go, "Damn, you're pretty." I started believing it, and everybody else started believing it too.
See, it's contagious. Absolutely. Affirmations are so powerful.
Transformed me. I don't know. It's weird. So try it, people. Say it with me now. Nora, join me. Damn, I'm pretty.
Damn, I'm pretty.
Good job. Good job. I want to send it to you. I'm going to text it to you so you have it on your phone so you can download it and listen anytime. Just text the word awesome, of course. Text the word awesome to this number, 480-405-0849. Again, that's 480-405-0849. I'm going to send you the affirmations, give you show updates, other tools for transformation. And if you're liking the show so far, please give us a like, give us a share, all that good stuff. That helps us get seen by more people, and people need to see this. Now, I consider really the most important part of this show. That's why I put this segment last.
I feel like we need some eerie music or a drum roll or something.
Oh, there will be later. Don't worry. Maybe, unless I get too lazy and don't put it in. All right. Nora.
Yeah.
As I've said, people, I already know the answer to this, but look how good I'm playing this. You don't even know if she's a friend or frenemy. She's playing it well too. She hasn't disclosed. Nora.
Jim.
Do you like pineapple on pizza?
Do I like pineapple on pizza? You know, when I heard this question, I just thought to myself, really, how dare you even ask me this question?
I like where this is going.
Really, I can't believe we're still doing this.
I'm nervous.
Well, I think Jim does already know the answer.
My listeners need to know, Nora.
They need to
know. They need to know if you're a friend or frenemy.
Well, I think it's just a sheer miracle that I'm even on this show, because I'm a frenemy. So, however, I don't judge so harshly the uncouth who do not prefer the sweet delicacy of pineapple pizza. I love it.
Unfortunately, I do judge those who do like it, the uncouth who do like it very harshly, Nora, very harshly, very, very harshly.
Well, you know what? Muhammad and I will have to come up with some appropriate memes and gifts to spam your wall with tomorrow.
So disappointing. So very disappointing. Everybody, so you don't want to be friends with Nora because she's a pineapple pizza lover. So she's still a good person, though. I think in some ways we can compartmentalize that part of Nora.
I think there will be a onslaught of listeners who will disagree with you that pineapple pizza people are the only people in their right mind.
And you're welcome to judge. You drop your comments below. Let us know. I've gotten a lot of grief from people that like pineapple pizza. I am in the minority, but I'm okay with that because I know what's right and what's wrong. Let me ask you this: is it a mixed marriage? What's Chris's take?
He doesn't mind it. He actually he's more of the spicy food. So his pineapple pizza mixture of choice is pineapple pizza with jalapeno.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna need a minute to compose myself, people.
I married a Hoosier, and I'm from the Buckeye State, so there's a lot of, intermingling things, craziness that happens. So.
You know what? Thank you so much for being on the show, Nora.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
One of my favorite frenemies in the world. So happy to have you on. Remember, everybody. So again, if you got mental health issues, look, you're not alone. There are so many people. Nora's had it. I've had it. You still got a lot of things you can do with your life. Get some help. Do some reading. See some counselor. Talk to people. Talk to a friend if you need to. Journaling. All these kind of things. They really do. They really do help. And of course, hypnosis. They really do help. Please reach out to Nora. Again, we're going to have the show notes down there below. And again, to get show updates, more tips for an awesome life, text awesome to 480-405-0849. Thank you again, Nora, so much for being on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. And thank you, everybody, for some of the problems I had with the iPods. I hope that doesn't, AirPods, whatever. I'm all messed up.
Aren't you
I'm cutting
Siri?
this part out. I'm cutting this part out. Yeah, and don't say her name. She'll come back.
Oh, sorry.
I'm turning her off on the Mac. I'm going to figure it out tonight. Drives me crazy. Nora, thanks. She stuck around a long time. We were supposed to be done in an hour, and it's been like a long, long time. Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure.
Awesome. Take care. Be well. Be awesome.
Thank you for listening to Exploring Awesome. Please take a moment to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the show. And visit exploringawesome.com to find more tips for an awesome life and get your free hypnosis download.